force yourself to master the small things. Inspired by Tony Robbins Motivation, take a moment and just breathe. Not the kind of breath you take when you're rushing through life, not the kind that comes from stress, pressure, or overwhelm, but a deep, intentional breath, the kind that brings you back to yourself, because what we're about to talk about today is not just motivation, it's a transformation. It's a truth many people ignore, but the most powerful people live by. We live in a world obsessed with big results, big success, big money, big recognition, big moments. Everyone wants the spotlight. Everyone wants the breakthrough. Everyone wants the outcome. But very few people are willing to master the small things. And that's where everything changes. Because the truth is simple and powerful. Your life is not shaped by what you do once in a while. It is shaped by what you do every single day. The small habits, the quiet decisions, the unnoticed disciplines. That is where your future is being built. And today, I want to take this deeper, not just into success, but into something more profound. I want to talk about feminine energy, the emotional depth of women, their psychology, their silent strength, and the power that the world has misunderstood for far too long. Because when a woman learns to master the small things, she becomes unstoppable. Let's address something honestly. Society has misunderstood women for generations. It tells women they are too emotional. It tells them they're too sensitive. It tells them they're too soft. And because of that, many women grow up trying to shrink themselves, trying to become less emotional, less expressive, less intuitive. But what if that's the biggest mistake? What if the very things you were told to suppress are actually your greatest strengths? Let me say this clearly. A woman's emotional depth is not a weakness, it is her intelligence. Her sensitivity is not fragility, it is awareness. Her softness is not weakness, it is controlled strength. And when she learns to master these, she becomes powerful in a way the world cannot ignore. Feminine energy is often misunderstood. People think it means being passive, weak, dependent, but that is far from the truth. Feminine energy is powerful. It is calm yet commanding. It is soft yet unshakable. It is quiet yet deeply influential. It doesn't need to scream to be heard. It doesn't need to force to be felt. It flows, it attracts, it transforms. And here's the key. Feminine energy thrives in the small things, not in chaos, not in extremes, but in consistency, awareness, and presence. The way you start your morning matters. Do you wake up and immediately rush into the noise of the world? Or do you take a moment to connect with yourself? The way you speak to yourself matters. Do you criticize your every flaw, or do you guide yourself with compassion? The way you handle your emotions matters. Do you react instantly, or do you pause, understand, and respond? These are small things, but they are shaping your identity every single day. Here's a powerful truth. You don't become powerful by what you do occasionally. You become powerful by what you do consistently. You become powerful by what you do consistently. And consistency is built in the smallest actions. Women have a unique psychological depth. They feel more, they notice more, they process more, they pick up on tone, energy, subtle shifts in behavior. They carry emotional awareness that many people don't even recognize. But here's the challenge. If this depth is not mastered, it can become overwhelming. Emotion without awareness becomes confusion. Sensitivity without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Sensitivity without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Empathy without self-respect becomes self-sacrifice. That's why mastering the small things is not optional. It is essential. Let me give you a powerful line. Your emotions are a compass, not a cage. They are meant to guide you, not control you. When you feel deeply, that is not your weakness. That is information. But you must learn to interpret it, not drown in it. Mastering the small things means emotional discipline, not suppressing emotions, but understanding them, not reacting instantly, but responding wisely, not losing control, but gaining clarity. It means choosing peace when anger feels easier, choosing silence when proving yourself feels tempting, choosing growth when comfort is calling your name. And let me be honest with you, this is not easy. This is not glamorous. This is not something people will always see or appreciate, but it is the foundation of real power, because real power is not loud. Real power is quiet. It's in the woman who can stay calm when everything around her is chaotic. It's in the woman who can walk away instead of arguing. It's in the woman who knows her worth without needing validation. That is strength. That is mastery. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood things, softness. The world often tells women, if you want to be respected, be hard. If you want to succeed, be aggressive. If you want to survive, don't feel too much. Don't feel too much. But the truth is, softness is not weakness. Softness with boundaries is power. Softness with self-respect is strength. Softness with discipline is sunstable. A powerful woman is not the one who becomes emotionless. A powerful woman is the one who feels everything but still chooses wisdom. And that choice happens in small moments. When you decide not to overreact, when you decide not to overthink, when you decide not to chase what doesn't value you. Those moments seem small, but they are changing your life. Let me say something that might change the way you see yourself. You are not too much. You are just not meant for environments that require you to be less. And once you understand that, you stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for your depth. You stop explaining your emotions. You stop abandoning yourself, and you start rising. Feminine energy is magnetic. It does not chase, it attracts, it does not beg, it chooses, it does not force, it aligns. But magnetism is not magic. It is built through self-mastery, through discipline, through awareness, through mastering the small things. Your posture, your tone, your habits, your standards, your boundaries. These are all small things. But together, they define your presence. And presence is power. You can walk into a room and say nothing. But if your energy is grounded, your mind is clear, and your self-respect is strong, people will feel it. That is silent power. Let's talk about boundaries. One of the most important small things you must master, because without boundaries, your energy gets strained. Your emotions get overwhelmed. Your identity gets lost. Saying no is a small thing. Walking away is a small thing. Choosing yourself is a small thing. But these small things protect your entire life. And here's the truth many people avoid. Here's the truth many people avoid. The life you tolerate is the life you create. So if you tolerate disrespect, you create a life of disrespect. If you tolerate emotional chaos, you create a life of instability. But when you master the small things, you raise your standards. And when your standards rise, your life follows. Many women are emotionally tired, not because they are weak, but because they have been strong for too long without direction. They give and give and give without mastering where to stop. That's why discipline matters, not harsh discipline, but loving discipline. The kind that says, I will not abandon myself to keep others comfortable. That is powerful. That is rare. That is transformative. Let me remind you, you don't need to become someone else to be powerful. You don't need to lose your softness. You don't need to hide your emotions. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to master yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your habits, your standards, the small things, because greatness is not built in big moments. It is built in the daily decisions no one sees, because greatness is not built in big moments. It is built in the daily decisions no one sees. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. The next time you feel misunderstood, center yourself. The next time you feel like giving up, remember this: you are in the process of becoming someone powerful. And that process requires patience. It requires consistency. It requires consistency. It requires courage. But most importantly, it requires mastering the small things. Because when you do, you don't just change your habits, you change your identity. And when your identity changes, everything changes. You start walking differently, thinking differently, choosing differently, living differently. And one day, without even realizing it, you will become the woman you once dreamed of, calm, but powerful, soft, but strong, emotional, but in control, graceful, but unstoppable. So stand tall, embrace your depth, honor your emotions, protect your energy, master your habits, and never forget this powerful truth. The strongest women are not the loudest, they are the most aligned. The power you are searching for, the power you are searching for is not outside you. It is within you, in your choices, in your discipline, in your awareness, in the small things you do every day. So go master them and watch your entire life transform.